Welcome back, class, to Chapter 7.3, Solve Linear Systems by Adding or Subtracting. In my opinion, 7.1 with graphing and then 7.2 with substitution, I think solving these algebraically, it's getting a little, in my opinion, a little easier. So what you'll find out in this one is to find that point of intersection if it has one. Okay. It's going to be a little bit easier today and even get a little bit easier in the next couple days. So what we were trying to find with graphing was that intersection point, and then you saw in substitution how we found it. Now we'll use adding or subtracting with the system of equations. So what are those steps? Remember, step one, you're going to add or subtract the equations to eliminate one variable. Step two, you're going to solve the resulting equation for the other variable. And then step three, substitute in either original equation to find the value of the eliminated variable. So add or subtract, and you'll see how to easily figure that one out. And then you're going to solve the resulting equation for the other variable. So let's take a look. Okay, again, remember, we are trying to get an ordered pair. So here's our example. 2x plus 3y equals 11, and the second equation is negative 2x plus 5y equals 13. So first of all, you always want to make sure that it's in standard form. And remember, standard form again is ax plus by equals c. Okay, so we first need to make sure it's in that form, and it is. So now we're adding or subtracting, and the point of this, adding and subtracting, is that it eliminates one of the variables. Okay, to eliminate one variable. So if we added down right now, would it eliminate one of the variables? And you see 2x plus negative 2x would cancel out here. And then 3y plus 5y is 8y, and 11 plus 13 is 24. And then step two here is you're going to solve the resulting equation. So we have to solve this. Divide by 8, y equals 3. So in our ordered pair, we know that y is 3. Now plug it in. Here you go back now. Then substitute in either original equation. So in either original equation, to find out what the value of x would be. So we have y, which is 3. So I'll plug it into the first one. 2x plus 3 times 3 equals 11. You get 2x equals, 2x plus 9 equals 11. Subtract 9, 2x equals 2. Divide by 2, x equals 1. Okay, now to check your solution, plug it back into the equation that you did not use to make sure that this makes sense now. So we did not use that one. So I'm going to plug in 1 in for x and 3 in for 5. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. 5 times 3 is 15, so negative 2 plus 15 is 13. So it checks out. Okay, so again, step one, add down, it canceled out one of the variables. Then solve for that remaining variable, and then plug in your solution into one of the original equations. And always check your work. Okay, always check your work. Example 2, 4x plus 3y equals 2 and 5x plus 3y equals negative 2. Now, step 1, okay, add or subtract the equations to eliminate one variable. So now if we look here, if we added down right now, we would be given 9x plus 6y. Okay, so that wouldn't cancel out one of the variables. So then that means we have to subtract. Okay, now there's two ways that you can solve this, and you can use whichever method seems easiest to you. I'm a big fan of addition. So when I think of subtraction, what I want to do is I'm going to multiply this whole thing by negative 1. So 4x plus 3y equals 2. And then I'm going to just multiply this whole thing by a negative 1. So what that does is it changes the signs now. And so our y's now cancel out. I can add down now, and those would cancel out, so I'm left with negative 1x equals 4, divided by negative 1. x equals negative 4. Plug it back into any of the original equations. I'll just choose this top one. That's negative 16 then, because I plugged in negative 4 times 4 is negative 16, plus 3y equals 2. Add that over, add 16 over, 3y equals 18, and divide by 3, y equals 6. So double check it, so we'll check it on this bottom one here. So negative 4 times 5 is negative 20, plus 3 times 6 is 18, so negative 20 plus 18 is negative 2, so that does check out. This is the correct answer. So what I do is, when I look at the first equation, when I look at 4x plus 3y equals 2, and 5x plus 3y equals negative 2, I notice that I could not add down right now to cancel out a variable. Okay, so that's why I multiply this by negative 1, and that's what the equation turns into, so that when I do add down, it cancels out. You could also do this, and it's kind of a little bit more in your head mentally. 4x minus 5x, negative 1x, 3y minus 3y, that would cancel out then, and then 2 minus a negative 2, which the two negatives turn into a plus, so 2 really plus 2, which is 4, divided by negative 1, you get x equals negative 4. I like to show my work a little bit more. I'm going to trust in my work showing it, then verbally in my mind just going 4x minus 5x, 3y minus 3y, and then 2 minus a negative 2. Not as much work as shown, but you will get the same solution either way you do it, which you'd find out that that was 6, just like we had. So you can decide which method you like the best. It's really up to you if you want to verbally in your mind kind of just walk yourself through the subtraction problem. Example 3. 8x minus 4y equals negative 4, and then 4y equals 3x plus 14. Going back to what I originally said in example 1, I said to always make sure that you are in standard form. So we're not in standard form right now, so we have to make sure we're in standard form. So we know that the top equation is in standard form. Well, to get the bottom in standard form, I'm going to subtract 3x over. And here's my new equation now. So I have it all lined up in standard form. The first step, I'm going to look and see if I can add or subtract down to cancel out a variable, and I can add down to cancel out my y's. So 8x plus a negative 3x is 5x equals negative 4 plus 14, which is 10, divided by 5, x equals 2. So plug it back into any of the original equations. I will choose the bottom one on this one. So if I do 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 14, I get 4y equals 20, divided by 4, y equals 5. So check it in the top one. 8 times 2 is 16, 4 times 5 is 20, 16 minus 20 is negative 4, so it checks out. So always check your work. Okay, really look at the linear system prior to solving the problem to see which method you should use, adding or subtracting, and always check your work. So here's the 3 homework problems. Okay, so look and see, add down first, make sure it's in standard form first actually, then add or subtract down to cancel out the variable, solve that equation that's left over, and then plug it back into one of the original equations, and then check it with the opposite one. Okay, if you have any questions, please email me, let me know. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'll see you tomorrow in class. Take care.